you have to take the MCAT sometime your junior year. This is something people don't think about a lot, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people end up taking gap years. Hello, my name is Nikhil. I'm a recent college graduate from Ohio State, and at school I was a pre-med student, and I'm now a medical school applicant. And today I want to talk a little bit about how I completed my pre-med requirements in order to apply to med school. So what is a pre-med student? It's somebody who needs to complete the requirements necessary to apply to medical school. But one key thing here is that it does not matter what you major in. You can major in biology or history or anything and still be qualified to apply to medical school. There are quite a few pre-med requirements necessary to apply to medical school. They're going to be listed right here. But one of the things that can be difficult to figure out is how to actually go about completing these in college. What order should they be completed in? What classes should you take together? And how can you be prepared for the MCAT in coordination with these requirements? In this video, I want to go over my experience with scheduling these pre-med requirements. I want to go over what I completed year by year, and then I want to give a little bit of advice on the advantages and disadvantages of the plan that I used. In college, I was blessed to have an amazing advisor that provided me with a lot of good information on how to go about organizing these courses. And the first thing we discussed was AP credit. If you have AP, IB, or college course credit, you should definitely take that into account for pre-med requirements because some of those classes can actually be used to fulfill them. One pro tip here though is to make sure you're retaking your science courses like biology, chemistry, and physics in college, even if you have credit. And the reason why is a lot of colleges want to make sure that you're able to complete those courses with the rigor necessary. It's kind of a proof of work ethic. So after having these conversations with my college counselor, I was able to determine that I had these college course credits that transferred. All of these credits really helped me out, but definitely one of the nicest was having credit for calculus. Math is notoriously hard in college, so if you can pass out of that as a pre-med student in high school, it can be really helpful to schedule other courses and maintain higher GPA. So as you can see, based off of my credits, I was able to pass out of a lot of classes required for the pre-med curriculum, which was really nice. And this is something you would want some help with. Definitely talk to your college advisor for your specific case study, and also you can talk to a TPC coach if that's something you're interested in as well. Now I'm going to go over my pre-med requirements and how I structure it year by year. Freshman year, I took biology, general chemistry, sociology, and then also a lot of colleges require a survey class. My sophomore year, I took OChem, lecture and lab, physics, and a humanities course. This was definitely my hardest year of college by far. It was definitely pretty hard to balance those two courses, specifically OChem and physics at the same time. And then junior year, I took biochemistry, a writing course, and a literature course as well. So from this schedule, you can kind of see that I front-loaded my coursework. I took a lot of the harder, more rigorous classes at the beginning of college. This was something that my advisor had sort of set up for me and was also something I'd heard from older students. However, there's advantages and disadvantages to this. So some of the advantages were that it allowed me to explore extracurriculars with more intensity later in college. For example, my social media platform and a lot of the work I'm doing now, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't front load my coursework because my classes would have been too rigorous to really spend enough time to be successful at that. Also, at the beginning of college, I learned how to study the right way and was able to stay in this zone. Because the first 2 years were difficult, it was continuous work, so there were no lulls. And although that might seem stressful, I think for me, being able to just focus for those 2 years and get it done was something that I found to be beneficial. Also, one thing to consider is if you want to apply to medical school right out of college, you have to take the MCAT sometime your junior year. And by front loading your coursework, you'll be in a position to do that. This is something people don't think about a lot, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people end up taking gap years is because it isn't feasible sometimes to take heavy course load and also study for the MCAT. So it's something to consider if you're planning to apply to medical school right out of college. There are also some disadvantages to doing this. I was tested right when I joined college. Like as a freshman, I stepped on campus and had a lot of work to do. And I think some people are prepared for it and others may not be. So this is something that you need to sort of assess in your own life and see if it's something you're ready to do. Like I mentioned before, sophomore year was also very difficult. So by compiling all of the difficult classes at the same time, you're knocking them out, but you're also really testing yourself. So once again, I think it's really important to make sure that you are assessing your abilities and sort of background coming into college to make sure you're setting yourself up for success and picking the right plan for you. So overall, it's important to sort of personally structure your schedule. There's some things you should do though. I would definitely talk to older students at the school you go to see what they did. I would definitely try to speak with an advisor or coach to see if they could provide some advice. And lastly, I think it's really important to be honest with yourself. If you're coming in with a lot of AP credit, doing a schedule like mine might be more feasible, but if you are not coming in with that credit, I think it's important to take your own path and take it slowly as opposed to rushing yourself and overdoing it. Also, if you want to go to medical school right out of college, it is important to complete these prerequisites before junior year, hopefully. So for me, I had all of them done other than biochemistry, and that allowed me to study for the exam junior year if I wanted. Now, I decided to do it my senior year, but it was an option for me. So something to consider earlier on if you haven't thought about that. There is no right way to take pre-med prereq courses, but I do think thinking about it and making sure you have a plan does give a little bit of peace in mind and can help you along the way. And lastly, doing this on your own can be difficult, so definitely speak to an advisor, friends. And if that doesn't help, definitely consider talking to the Premed Consultants. We have coaching services that are really beneficial. I'll link all the information to that in the description. We just started this YouTube series, so I'd really appreciate any feedback. If you have any questions or comments about the content we're creating, if you have any topics you'd want us to discuss, and how you guys feel about these. But thank you, and I'll see you next week.